Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Let's take a look at the headlines. The Prime Minister calls emergency meeting with National Security Council. Rapid Response Unit launched to strengthen war on crime to mend national feeling of safety. And internationally, Year of the Family recognized by the Minister of Gender, Youth and Child Development. Thank you for joining us. Prime Minister the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar says all crime fighting resources have been intensified in the fight against crime. She was speaking at a press conference following an emergency meeting held with the National Security Council.
As Prime Minister today, I reaffirm my commitment to our citizens that whatever we have to do to defeat the criminals within the law, wherever they hide, we will do it.
Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar giving her assurances to make Trinidad and Tobago a safe nation once again. Her comments come after members of the National Security Council met in an emergency meeting at the Diplomatic Center in St. Anne's in an effort to outline new crime measures. The move comes on the heels of launching the new Rapid Response Unit, which took place mere hours prior to holding the meeting. Prime Minister Persad-Bissessar, who is the chairman of the council, says one critical move will include recalling all police officers into active duty.
It was decided that with immediate effect, the Commissioner has advised all leave has been restricted in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service so we can have all hands on deck in the fight against crime. This means all officers from the top to the bottom. There is to be a greater collaborative effort between the police service and the defense force to maximize the use of all their resources in this battle. The police service will engage persons of interest, in other words, keep an eye on them and their activities and lock down their operations. Further, there will be an intensification of the level of critical infrastructure protection.
She adds these moves are necessary if citizens are to feel safe and secure within their own nation. She says officers have gotten specific orders to monitor domestic violence issues with increased attention.
Once reports come in, they will no longer be treated as a run-of-the-mill domestic violence reports, but they will be given the special consideration that they deserve. And should it be that persons making reports have to be removed and put into safe homes, we will partner with the various ministries to provide such a facility.
As chairman, she will remain in close contact with the council and the relevant national security authorities as the measures are rolled out.
As the ones in charge of the respective arms of the protective and security services, they must perform. They must perform. No shades of grey, no excuses, and no apologies. The government and people of Trinidad and Tobago are demanding results now, and therefore they must see results now. Having given these clear mandates and effectively removed any room for excuses, I will myself be very closely monitoring and actively following the progress made by each arm of the protective and security services.
Plans outlined are said to include dialogue with citizens on initiatives they would like government to implement to address crime. Later on this year, it's expected that government will also address this issue by strengthening the relevant legislation. Kimberly Calawan, News 4.
When we come back, Rapid Response Unit launched. Stay with us. The move towards making a dent and putting a stop to all criminal acts will get a bolster from the newly launched Rapid Response Unit. The unit comprises of police vehicles equipped with GPS tracking devices that work together with the National Operations Center. The Prime Minister was present for the launch of the new unit.
The war on crime will head in a different direction through the launch of the Rapid Response Unit. It's all part of a new system geared at advancing the time taken for officers to react to crime. Unveiling the new unit, Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar says restoring the feeling of safety among citizens remains a paramount concern as government looks to turn back the effects of criminal behavior on society.
Today's launch of the RRU must therefore be taken as the unveiling of an important element in the crime-fighting infrastructure that government has rebuilt. Our strategies recognize that the war on crime means not only stopping crime today, but also deterring and preventing crime tomorrow. We can join hands, join our minds, join our hearts, so that we can continue to wage an intensified war against crime and criminals in our country. Today, the launch of this unit therefore represents an escalation in our war on crime and will be an important strategy, not only in helping to win that war, but also to help make our citizens feel safe again.
The unit will be manned by officers who have been specially trained in monitoring systems. Acting Commissioner of Police Stephen Williams expressed confidence in the RRU making a positive impact in the way officers respond to crime.
The Rapid Response Unit is one facility which we will be utilizing to ensure that we make a difference around what is always very complex and challenging to effectively address that of violent crime.
This new unit incorporates the Geographic Information Services GIS system and CCTV footage captured from cameras positioned at locations in and around Trinidad and monitored by personnel from the Trinidad and Tobago National Operations Centre (NOC). During her tour of the centre, the Prime Minister was privy to Director of the NOC, Gavin Hira, explaining how these patrol units will work in tandem with the centre in locating and capturing perpetrators while criminal acts are ongoing.
So we have the cameras, we have the GPS in the vehicles. The problem now is to coordinate those for effective response.
And public awareness too, Madam Prime Minister, so people understand we have this availability, we have this tool now that can be utilized to treat with the issues. So
it's going to be fused with E999.
E99 system.
Over 50 vehicles were handed over to the police service last year, boosting patrols along the highway and hotspots across the nation. These vehicles, outfitted with GPS tracking systems, receive data from headquarters pinpointing the exact location crimes are happening. It's expected that one of these units under the Rapid Response Unit will respond to criminal activity being monitored at the NOC. However, making this effective, the Prime Minister says, depends on citizens having the ability to feel freely to call the emergency numbers and report suspicious criminal activity.
Today, as we put this Rapid Response Unit to work, I say if you are a victim of crime, call. And I just asked for the number. It's 999 or 911.
Kimram Kalawan, News 4.
Meanwhile, National Security Minister Gary Griffith stayed true to his promise of meeting with the Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly very early in the new year. That meeting took place on Friday, January 3rd at the Mount Irvin Bay Hotel. The minister, his team, along with the Chief Secretary and other THA secretaries were present to discuss security matters as it relates to Tobago, and they all agreed that the meeting was indeed very cordial and fruitful.
The major topic on the agenda was a tourism-oriented crime plan for Tobago. Secretary for Tourism, Assemblyman Tracy Davidson Celestine, spoke in detail on this topic. She grouped them into three parts. Mrs. Celestine first touched on the fact that crime fighting in Tobago must be tourism-oriented.
As such, the issue of the tourism policing unit was once again discussed. It is something that is on the table for quite some time now, and we in the Division of Tourism and Transportation feel, as well as the stakeholders, feel that it is something that should be given urgent consideration. And as such, important timelines were given. The Commissioner of Police did indicate that by the end of January 2014, we will have the strategy and also the plan of action that will roll out the strategies behind the tourism policing unit.
National Security Minister Gary Griffith echoed her sentiments. He said they will ensure that the law enforcement agencies on the island will be customer service trained and also trained in public relations to deal specifically with tourism aspects.
So that concept of tourism policing and ensuring that the law enforcement officers can actually be an asset to Tobago in their development.
The issue of disaggregating data so that Tobago is not labeled as its sister island Trinidad as a crime-riddled island was also discussed.
There was a request to ensure that statistics are separated from Trinidad, because of course we know that Tobago is heavily dependent on tourism, and one of the main elements of ensuring that people come is marketing. And we want to ensure, we know that crime in Tobago is by far lower than Trinidad, and we also want to ensure that our marketing efforts are not stymied with the overall or the national crime statistics.
The issue of increased patrols and more police vigilance in specific areas was another major topic. More so, a heightened awareness during the peak tourism months in Tobago, which starts from October and goes straight to April.
Of course, there are some hotspots areas in Tobago, and we want to ensure that we see police. We want to ensure that we have a more effective and able representation of policing in those particular areas. And we also spoke to the issue of ensuring that we have an even greater police presence around the peak tourism season.
Lastly, on the Tourism Secretary's list of items discussed pertaining to her division was the issue of improved communication between the Division of Tourism and Transportation and the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service Tobago branch, so that they are all on the same page since they are working towards achieving the same objectives. A similar meeting is scheduled to take place in the next 3 months. Reporting from Tobago, Patricia Nicholson, News 4.
News 4 continues right after the break. Stay with us. The Water and Sewage Authority of Trinidad and Tobago will be embarking on works in South Trinidad in an effort to improve the reliability of the water supply in the area. As a result of this, however, WASA is advising customers living in South Trinidad that there will be a 12-hour disruption in the water supply in parts of that region. The improvement works will take place Thursday, January 9th between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. The areas which will benefit from the improvement works are said to include La Romaine, Gulf View, Palmis, Bel Air, San Francisco, Pleasantville, Union Hall, Dow Village, Philippine, South Oropouche, Avocat, Faizabad, Duncan Village, Rusilac, Otaheite, Woodlands, Green Acres, and Rambat Village. The authority apologizes for any inconvenience the improvement works may cause, but assures that it will result in a more reliable water supply to the areas mentioned. In other news, International Day of the Family is observed annually on May 15th. However, with 2014 marking the 20th anniversary of International Year of the Family, a year-long observance has been declared by the United Nations, and the government of Trinidad and Tobago is leading the way with initiatives to mark the auspicious occasion.
With the 20th anniversary of International Year of the Family being observed this year, much more effort is being placed on development of the family. According to the International Federation for Family Development, 2014 offers an opportunity to refocus on the role of families in development, taking stock of recent trends in family policy development. The body says, as basic and essential building blocks of societies, families have a crucial role in social development, bearing the primary responsibility for the nurturing, protection, education, and socialization of children. Added to this is the task of instilling values of citizenship. These very points were affirmed and supported by the Honorable Clifton Dikoto, Minister of Gender, Youth and Child Development, during the official launch of this year's activities. The Minister himself is advocating for a revisit to family values.
This year, it is time to revisit our family values. It takes love, commitment, responsibility, respect, spirituality, and communication in equal measures to strengthen the family fabric which when interwoven provides the foundation of our children, communities, and society. It is in this regard, Cabinet has agreed that the Government of Trinidad and Tobago, through the Ministry of Gender, Youth and Child Development, will commemorate this event through a national year-long program entitled Strengthen Our Families.
Minister Dakota said government was very committed to developing and strengthening the family unit, as this was integral to national development.
This will be done by incorporating a number of key factors which are required to strengthen our families. These include love. Love is the purest, simplest, most basic of family values. Love binds families together to support each other through good times and bad unconditionally. Respect. Mutual respect is about understanding each other and respecting one another as individuals with different wants and needs. Communication. Sometimes all it takes is a simple "I love you" or a "good morning" to spark great, insightful conversations that help families understand each other. Commitment. In family, commitment is a very scary word. It simply means being there for loved ones when they need you, because family will always be there for you.
The minister also listed responsibility and spirituality as key elements in holding the family unit together. He announced that the Honorable Prime Minister is the patron of International Year of the Family.
The Honorable Prime Minister, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, Senior Council Member of Parliament Superior, has agreed to be the patron for the commemoration of the anniversary and to launch a national initiative for the year. Additionally, on the 22nd November 2013, the United Nations officially launched the International Year of Family Farming 2014, so as to support farmers to achieve food security and eradicate hunger, preserve natural resources, promote sustainable development based on the respect for the environment and biodiversity. The Government of Trinidad and Tobago, recognizing the alignment of the aim of the United Nations with its own objective to increase national food production, sees family farming as a critical component in this regard. The government acknowledges that there are many communities and family units within the agricultural sector, and therefore will encourage and support them as they increase the level of agricultural production in Trinidad and Tobago.
Felicia Wilson-Mon, News 4.
When we come back, the Food Production Ministry says thank you to the media. Stay with us. Coincidentally, as the media fraternity mourned the loss of an exemplary contributor to journalism, Therese Mills, the Ministry of Food Production held its Media Appreciation Luncheon on Friday, January 3rd, within the beautiful natural ambience of the Botanic Gardens.
Media Appreciation Function, Minister of Food Production, Senator the Honorable Davant Maraj, recognized the contribution of the late Miss Teresa Mills to the development of media in Trinidad and Tobago, noting that she was an exemplary figure in the field of journalism.
The towering figure of Miss Mills cannot be ignored. And I had a 10-year relationship with Miss Mills, being a former columnist with the Newsday, where I wrote a weekly column every Tuesday. And I remember how I got that column. I walked in from the streets on a lunchtime during my lunch break from NLCB down to Chacon Street, where the head office was located, I think still is. And I started to complain to some of the journalists there that this is a biased papers. They are carrying an editorial of another newspaper because it's a Catholic news editorial, and they did not have the view of other communities such as the Muslim and Hindu and Pentecostals and so on.
He shared his experience as a columnist with Newsday and his interactions with Miss Mills over the 10-year period of his tenure, and extended sincere condolences to Miss Mills' family and friends, as well as to the Newsday family and media community on her passing.
She is indeed, I think, would be sorely missed in the media fraternity, and I think not enough can be said about her contribution in the media. And many of her contemporaries have passed on, and many who have held on to the standards in journalism have also passed on, and few have taken it up. I think in the media now, persons, again, another Newsday personality such as John Babb continues that tradition, and Lennox Grant in the Express.
In his address, Senator Maraj thanked the media for the support given for the previous year and briefly highlighted some of the ministry's main achievements as such: revitalization of the fisheries demonstration pond, commissioning of the aquaculture training and extension facility, tilapia marketing campaign, national freshwater fishery reconstruction program, recommissioning of the Mappa Farm propagation station, construction of packing house at Britching Castle, establishment of the perennial Elasni squad, commencement of the Carney Green initiative.
Media in achieving our objective is critical because it affords the population to learn about some of the achievements and what we are doing, because many are not aware of these activities that are taking place in the Ministry of Food Production. And that is because many don't view this ministry, along with a handful of others, as the sexier ministries. Because you don't hear, you would focus on energy because of the oil spill down in Labrie and so on, and Claxton Bay.
The minister said the nation also solidified its reputation as a producer of expertise and distinctive cocoa, having been awarded the 4th successive International Cocoa Award at the 2013 Salon du Chocolat in France. Additionally, the Trinidad and Tobago Horticultural Society won its 16th gold medal at the Chelsea Flower Show in the United Kingdom. The Ministry of Food Production has performed exceptionally well in 2013, says Minister Devant Maraj. The agriculture sector expanded by 5.1% in 2013 from the previous year, and the contribution of agriculture to GDP increased by 77% from 2009 to 2013. There has been a 2% reduction in the estimated 4 billion TT food import bill from 2010 to 2013.
In 2012, the Ministry of Food Production has managed to carve out some degree of attention within the media fraternity, and that is, I think, because you have seen tangibly what we are doing. And we have said, and I was only shown yesterday by a member of staff, that in some column, I think it was in the Newsday, that a writer observed that this is the first time in the history of Trinidad that we have 4 consecutive quarters of growth in the agricultural sector. And I've been repeating that over and over at events that I'm bored myself, but I realize every time I say it, it reaches a new audience. And it is important in that it has never been achieved in the history of Trinidad and Tobago.
The food inflation rate also continues to be single digits for the 5th consecutive month at 7.3% in November 2013. Minister Maraj acknowledged the competing interests are inevitable, but encouraged the media to continue supporting the sector by making the public aware of new developments and acknowledgements. Joseph Lopez, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Thank you for joining us.